This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's live podcast series, The Weekly Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Mekas. This is your first time tuning in. Please click subscribe, like, share, and comment. You can also listen to this series on Libsyn, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcast, and soon Apple Podcast. Tonight, our guest, a returning guest, Gloria Haas, is a forensic visionary. Being a natural-born clairvoyant, has many paranormal gifts, including remote viewing, remote touching, hearing, conversation, seeing in the spirit world, as well as communicating with spirit. Has visions and dreams with messages. Gloria is an award-winning, best-selling author. She's performed readings for clients throughout the United States and the UK. Being a forensic visionary, she's also helped police or law enforcement help find people or lost loved ones. Gloria is a vlogger and has a talk show host, Without a Trace, and the Haas Reports. I welcome the one, the only, Gloria Haas. How are you doing this evening? And we are having issues, aren't we?
We are.
Technical difficulties. You and I both. Let me close this out so I can share my screen here, because I want people to know what you look like. So I have this poster up, and there we go. That way they know who we're talking to. There we go. Haha. How are you doing this evening, Gloria? Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome.
I'm doing pretty good. It's sort of, freaking out earlier when I get this message from the communications, company a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
You are experiencing a network impacting event, and you won't have stable internet until the 7th of September.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, I guess I could do housework.
Yeah. gives you some extra time to do the stuff around the house, and it kind of puts you back too. It's like, well, I was like, well, you can at least monitor the YouTube channel, and I'm like, oh, crud, you don't have internet. So I'm like, but at least you know what it's like. I wouldn't say being back in the dark ages, but like it was before we had internet.
And I remember those days.
Me too. Oh, man. Yes, I do. So tonight's topic is doppelgangers and parallel lives. Explain a little bit for the listeners and viewers what a doppelganger is.
Well, it was originally thought of that a doppelganger was a mythical figure, a mythical creature. And then people started noticing that people started looking alike and they could pass as their twins. So that people would say, oh, I met your doppelganger. And so that's what it is. You have a twin you've probably never met.
Yeah.
You may have seen them. And I'd be interested to know if people ever spoke with them to see what happened. I've never had that pleasure.
Yeah. And that is interesting, because I hear that cliche a lot. It's like, well, I must have a doppelganger, or we're having a twin. My experience, this is many years ago. I was working at an art store in the Orlando area, and I was out in the garage area loading some stuff in the van, and somebody, as I was coming around the side of the building and in the front door, the picture framer out front says, "Oh, you again?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, I just saw you walk through the front door like just seconds ago." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she swore it was me. I'm going, "No, I've been back in the storage area for hours until now." So yeah, I find, and then that's when I think, I wouldn't say that was the first time, but that was the first time I heard someone say they saw my doppelganger.
Interesting. And you never saw the person?
And I never saw him. So I don't know. I'm going to put up our live call-in line. If any of our listeners or viewers have seen your doppelganger, or have talked to your doppelganger, or have any experience with a doppelganger, you can call 407-636-1157 and share your experience. And if you have any questions for Gloria, it's the time. So you sent me some pictures shortly before the show that you'd like to share. We'll probably share them in a little bit. But so talk a little bit about your some of your experience with doppelgangers and parallel lives, as far as your research and some of your work.
When I was I was 9 years old. We lived, in California in the desert, and a friend of the family or relative of the family had somebody in one of the branches of the service, and we drove to Taft, where they were doing the parachuting, practicing the parachute drops from the planes. And I'm standing there, and while we're waiting for the plane to come overhead, we're just standing all around, and I was standing by my mom, and my brother and my dad were somewhere else. And I happened to look over because I felt like somebody was watching me, and I saw my identical twin, not biological, but let's say doppelganger.
Yeah.
And I looked at her, and she was sitting on top of a car, the car hood, actually the roof of a car. And my mom, I wasn't holding her hand, so she thought I snuck off. And this girl was wearing clothes similar to mine.
Huh.
My hair was up in a ponytail because it was pretty long. Hers was down with a barrette in it, or a headband. And my mom saw her and said, "Gloria," and used the middle name, "get off the top of that car." And I said, "Mom, don't, get over here right now." And I touched her and I tugged on her. She goes, "What do you want?" I go, "I've been standing here the whole time."
Yeah.
And my mom looked over, and I looked over, and she was gone.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom and I both saw her. And my dad comes over and goes, "What's wrong?" She said, "I just thought I saw your daughter sitting on top of a car over there." My dad thought it was a joke. I said, "No, Daddy, I saw her too." And her and I made eye contact. I looked for her, and then a little while later, I saw her holding on to some people's hands that didn't look anything like my parents. And then they got in a car and drove away. And what's interesting is the car that they had, we had a similar car about 3 years later.
Yeah. Huh. Now, how much time lapsed between the time that you took eyes off her and the time that you glanced back in her direction and she was gone? Like seconds? Or?
I was talking with my mom, so maybe 30 seconds to a minute, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Spooky.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. And it was just like, it's weird how I still remember that. And it's been many years later.
Yeah. Now have you had any other instances since then?
Quite a few.
Really?
Yes. I went to, where I lived, we had 3 elementary schools. And one of the elementary schools was like 9 miles from where I lived. And that also had the junior high attached to it. It was K through 8. But because I lived within walking distance of one in the same town where I lived, I still rode the bus. I went to that one. Well, the other elementary school was, if I would have lived where my girlfriend lived, like across the street from where she lived, then I would have gone to that other school. It was weird.
Yeah.
So I remember it was junior high, and some kids came up to me and said, you went to, let's just say, the red school, and I went to the blue school, or green. No, let's say they went to the yellow school and I went to the green school. And they said, you went to the yellow school. I said, no, I went to green school. Well, you couldn't have. You were in my class. I said, no, I wasn't in your class. I went to the green school. You can ask my mom. And he called me a liar.
Yeah.
And then one day when I was carrying my musical instrument, a flute, goes, when did you start playing the flute? So I've been playing it since 5th grade. No, you haven't. You've never played a musical instrument. So she never played an instrument and looked just like me. It got to the point where they even asked my parents on, parents teacher night, and they would ask my parents. My mom said, no, she's never been to the yellow school. We've always been at this school. We've always gone to the green school.
Yeah.
And they called my mom a liar and said that we orchestrated this whole thing. So it got to the point where I took one of my school pictures, because we had an extra one. I stuck it in a book that I would read on the bus, and people would ask me, who's that? I said, it's my twin sister. We were separated at birth. That they believed.
Huh. Wow.
And the stories go up through, oh gosh, I was up to my mid-20s when people, that's why I think one of them was had her pictures taken for a porn magazine.
Yeah.
Not me. And I was married at the time, and he called me a liar and said I had done that because she had the same type of birthmarks that I had. But I also, when I moved back east, I was 19, and I moved, I was working in Washington, D.C., and some people came up to me from off the street and said, we didn't know you were coming down here. Why didn't you tell us? And what did you do to your hair? Are you wearing a wig? Apparently she had short hair and I had long hair.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I don't know who you are. And they go, what? And I said, no. And I had my badge on for work because I was going out to the bank across the street. It was payday. And they go, where did you get that badge? I said, I work here. They go, and they asked me, what's your name? And I said, Gloria. No, you have a different name. You go by a different name.
Yeah.
Went, no.
Did you ask what name?
Yeah, and I don't remember what they said.
Yeah.
I think it may have been a derivative like Lori or something,
Yeah.
Off of Gloria.
Oh, okay. Now, have you ever tried tracking down this? Well, before I ask that, do you think people have more than one doppelganger?
I think we have parallel lives.
Yeah. That
I
makes more
remember
sense.
in 1998, I had to look this up for research for tonight. I remember watching the movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Mm.
And it's about parallel lives. And one went one way, one went the other way when they came out of the apartment complex side by side. And it showed how they dressed differently and wore their hair a little bit differently at times.
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting. That was my first introduction to parallel lives. And I got to thinking about it. Well, with these different people who people think that I was, that would be the only thing that would make sense. And I remember even when I lived in Fresno, California, people looked at me and said, when did you move here?
Huh.
We just saw you back east. They were visiting and they knew her and said, no, I work here and I lived here for 6 years. They're like, really?
Yeah.
So it's interesting how other people have seen them and have seen me. And they go, well, we're going to tell her that we saw her twin. I said, please have her give me a call.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, have
I go,
you
no.
yeah, have you maintained contact with people, with some of the people that have supposedly have seen your doppelganger, and say, if you see her, give me a call?
No, because these people didn't want to exchange numbers. They got a little spooked, and
Yeah.
my mom's no longer living, and if she was, I don't know if she would remember because she had Alzheimer's. But she, no, people, some of them were my schoolmates, and I've lost touch with them. And some of the people that I've been in contact with, I asked them, do you remember this? And like, no, you're asking me to remember over 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Right. Yeah, it's an amazing thing too, is like, when it comes to parallel lives, that I've also heard, and I experience this too sometimes, where there's parts of my life in this lifetime that I can't remember. And it's things that I should remember. It's like, but I don't remember that. Or it seems like it was a dream, like that didn't really happen. You know, it gets muted until you've not force yourself back into a particular point in your lifetime. But it seems like things get blurred, that it you almost think in your heart that maybe that didn't really exist. Maybe it was just a dream. Maybe it was a parallel part of myself. Because it didn't. You know how some memories really do feel genuine and real, and you can remember it every day of your life. But then there's moments of your life that you should remember, and you don't really remember it that well.
Yes. I've had that experience in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I went to sleep at night. I keep a full glass of water on my nightstand next to me, and because we dehydrate in our sleep. And I had a full glass. 2 hours later, I woke up and thought, man, my legs hurt, right?
Yeah.
I go to the loo, and when I come back, half of the glass of my water is gone.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've had that happen twice. The other night was the second time.
Yeah.
And I know the dog's not drinking it. And I'm thinking, if there is a parallel life, did we trade places? Because I remember the dreaming and talking to people that I don't really know. And they were talking to me as if I knew what they were talking about both times. And I'm looking at them like, why don't you refresh? I'm saying, they look at me, they go, you have a funny look on your face. I said, well, I don't exactly remember it that way. Okay, then let me re-explain it to you. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then and I'm wondering, aren't we, I think we're sometimes voyaging into a parallel life, which sometimes touches ours.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so the whole doppelganger phenomenon feel is the result of what we are experiencing of parallel lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
So.
That definitely makes more sense. That also brings in the
Especially-
question of like almost
no, you go ahead.
like deja vu. I think deja vu also has like basically the trifecta: doppelganger, deja vu, parallel lives.
Do you believe, I agree with you on that. Do you believe that there may be portals that people walk through parallel lives? Because how else would they get here?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a thought every now and then. I think this. It's like what I do today, what I do tomorrow, And there's moments throughout the day. And this goes back to the whole memory thing, is why are there moments in a particular day that I absolutely have no recollection of that I should? And that there's moments that, whether kind of like daydreaming, we do daydreaming, and everybody does it. And are those moments that we kind of just, it's almost like an astral projection or an astral travel? Are we slipping back and forth into multiple dimensions, consciously?
There are several theories out there about this. A psychologist will tell you you're dissociating, which is when you daydream, you dissociate, which is normal. And you won't remember time. And on the other hand, the other theory I've heard, that if you lose time, it's because you've had an alien abduction.
Yeah.
But I believe you're right, that our life may be touching another parallel life, and that's probably why we don't remember it.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Now the parallel live things. I've got some pictures that you sent us just moments before the
My
show.
internet went down.
Oh yeah, just before your internet went down. And I am going to bring these up. Which one do you want me to show first, that you can explain? The black and white one or the sepia tone?
The black and white one.
Black and white. All right. Oop, there we go. Okay. Can I zoom in on that? Oh. Come on, can I zoom? View. Oh, technology is gonna do it. There we go. Is that it? Come on. Where's the hotkey? There we go. All right. I have got it blown up. Literally full screen. All right, there we go. So explain this picture to the audience.
I was 9 years old, and that's our front yard where we're living in California.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I looked like when I first saw the other me, who we call Doppelganger. We could just say me be, I don't know. I was getting dressed to go march in a parade, local parade.
Yeah.
So I had the long hair with pulled back in a ponytail and braided, I believe.
Huh. And then
it was braided.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there we go. Okay. So everybody can see what you look like. Yes, at 9 years old.
Yes, it'd be very interesting to see if somebody said, I remember seeing someone who looks like that, but they lived over here.
Yeah. Huh.
But that's what she also looked like.
And she looked. Was
Exactly.
this the same time when you said you were at was it the drive-in?
That was at Taft. Yeah, when we were watching the parachuters.
Yeah. Huh. Let me. Then I'm gonna bring up the sepia tone one. This is. If you can explain to the listeners and viewers this photo.
This was at the same house, just a different angle, in our front yard. And I had won the blue ribbon first place and the red ribbon second place in 2 band competitions, flute solo.
Yeah.
And this is what I look like when people this was junior high age, when people thought I was the other person.
Yeah.
But I was lying about, playing a musical instrument.
Yeah.
And they said, you didn't play one, but that's what I look like at age 9.
Huh. So if any viewers, I wouldn't expect any viewers tonight. Now that would be really freaky. That would recognize these pictures or this person. But since these shows are archived, if anybody in the future, Back to the Future, if anybody in the future sees these photos and recognizes, get a hold of us. Definitely reach out to Gloria. Yeah, and this now no one has ever came forward since then, or well, I'm not sure if you've really advertised or anything about it, but I mean, this is the moment.
I think our lives stopped. I stopped hearing about it when I was in my mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything about anything after that. When I moved back to California, because I had moved away and I came back in the same, now this is really weird. There was Nancy Osborne, who I think that was her name, was a TV personality for one of the TV stations.
Uh-huh.
And we both volunteered for United Cerebral Palsy. She was tall and thin, and it's really weird. We look similar, and people would come up to me and go, "Boy, you're a snob." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I called my dad and I said, "Dad, people are yelling and screaming at me." He said, "You don't watch the news?" I said, "No." He said, "I'm going to record." So I had did I have a TV? Yeah, I had a TV. And he said, "Turn the TV on when you get home to this channel." And I said, "Okay," for the nightly news. And she wasn't on, but he had recorded, a different one. So when I went over to my parents, my dad turned it on, and I'm just like, "Whoa, who's that?" He goes, "That's Nancy Osborne. Our hair was styled similar. We had the same exact glasses."
Yeah.
She was tall and thinner than I am, and she was a snob. People started yelling. They said, "No, no, no, I'm the nice one. My name's Gloria. I'm not Nancy." But
Yeah.
anyway, it was really weird because I remember when I got my new glasses, and within a week, Nancy had new glasses, the exact frames.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember deciding to get my hair styled a different way, not knowing this. I came in with my hair styled in a different way, and I think I had gotten it cut shorter because I used to wear it back. It was so long, middle of my back, I'd wear it in French braids to work. And I walked in and my dad goes, "Look right now at the TV." And I looked, he goes, because my hairdresser was just down the street from where my parents lived. Because my mom said, "Let's see what your hair looks like when you get it done." So I walked in the door and her hair was styled exactly the same. So I'm wondering if we didn't have a parallel life going on.
Yeah. I'm wondering this too, that maybe possibly also a parallel life thing, but a sharing consciousness. That it, how almost like twins kind of do the same things or feel the same things or can pick up what another one is feeling or another one is thinking, that there's some sort of a remote synaptic connection between the two, but not really conscious of it.
Right, because I was working at a hospital as a medical transcriptionist, and she was on TV. She was a TV personality. And the last thing I ever wanted to do is be on TV.
Yeah.
And to then many years later, I had my own radio show in a brick and mortar radio station about close to 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is that when I was on TV, it's because I dressed really nice that they asked me I volunteered for Children's Miracle Network, and I would go ahead and man the phones, but they would have the camera on me. And my dad go, there she is. And then when Nancy Osborne was on there, they would look at her, look at me, look at her, look at me. It was just like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And we had similar clothes on. That is the weird part.
Yeah,
She was like 5'8", 5'9", and I was 5'6". So there was some height difference.
Huh. Now you mentioned something as far as trying to seek out anybody through the years. Obviously you have you and your parents have kind of that's the thing, is how did this conversation go within the family, within your parents? Was it something that was kind of like, there's a doppelganger, there's a twin out there, we never had another daughter, or we never had a twin that we know of? Was there always this discussion and always this conversation going on between you and the family?
My mom and I would talk about it. My mom was extremely open-minded, and I used to have a very closed mind like my dad.
Yeah.
But that was just like mind-blowing. And then things started happening as a kid. My brother was very closed-minded. And I remember my mom and I were talking. My dad was going to go to, it was another year down the road. He goes, I'm going to go over to Taft, and guys, come on, let's go. And my mom said, no, we've already been there once.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, maybe she's going to be there. Let's go. And my mom looked at me and said, you remember that? I go, yeah, maybe she will be there. My dad goes, who are you talking about? And he just thought we were making the story up because he didn't see it. It's just my mom and I.
Yeah.
We ended up not going because my mom didn't want to go.
Yeah. What's the most recent experience?
Well, it's gosh, I can't remember if it was this year. It was earlier this year. It was before summer. I'm walking my dog down the street, and I see this very good-looking man I had never seen before in the neighborhood, because we do our own little neighborhood watch. Because of where we live, and it's semi-safe, but when you see someone you've never seen before, and he's texting on his phone, and what really interested me was he was walking very upright in a very perfect stature. And I thought, I wonder if he was ever in marching band. One of those things. That passed through my mind. He had a man bun, and he just walked down the sidewalk, and I didn't even pay any attention to where he was going. I was paying attention to my dog, and we just came on in. Well, either the next night or the night after that, around the same time, walking my dog, I was standing on the side of the street, and the side street from where I had seen him before, and my dog was doing her business, and I saw him come across, and I watched him. He's coming off the sidewalk and then turning left to his left, which would be, I was on his left on the sidewalk, walking down the middle of the street. I'm thinking, that's weird. Why didn't he just go and walk on the other side to where there, was a sidewalk?
Yeah.
And next thing I know, he's disappeared into thin air. And my dog looked like was looking after him, like, where'd he go? And she started looking for him.
Huh.
And I was wondering if that was a portal. Well, we walked down the middle of the street, followed his steps. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
I've been by there quite a few times. And probably about the beginning of summer, maybe a few months after that, I saw, because he walked east on the street. Somebody was coming down west on the same street around the same area, and they sort of disappeared into thin air. So it's like a portal. It's like, whoa.
Huh.
And then I'm thinking, okay, so because the road was too hot, I didn't go and check it out.
Yeah.
But I walked past it and looked, and it's like there's no arches, there's no nothing. It's just like somebody walking into thin air.
Yeah. So I mean, you were looking at him walking down the street, and then he just I don't know,
like he walked through an
just
invisible
slowly
door.
dematerialized.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Not slowly.
Yeah.
It was like,
It's just
okay, let's say you're walking, quickly. Let's say you're walking through a doorway. 1 minute you're there, and then he was gone. No one would see you because you had walked through the door.
Yeah.
And that's basically like it was. But the person coming to the west through there started to dematerialize.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, that is really strange.
Huh. That that's a good
And I've never
definition
seen
of
him
a portal.
since.
Yeah,
I've never seen him since. So I'm wondering if he wasn't just in a parallel life, coming down, doing what he needed to do, and then he went to where he needed to go.
Yeah. Did he acknowledge you?
No.
Huh.
Did not acknowledge me.
He never looked up in your direction, or no hint
he
of
was busy
any...
on.
Yeah.
He was busy on what looked like a cell phone,
Yeah.
like a smartphone.
Yeah.
And he would look up at the street and then just start walking down the street, and he was gone.
That makes me think that we do it all the time, especially not everybody, but how we're always looking down at our phones or walking. We're forgetting to be doing everything. But we're walking and we're staring at our phones, not paying attention to the world around us. That may have been some sort of vehicle for him to either consciously or unconsciously slip through these portals. And maybe he didn't even realize it. Maybe he just walked right through it. Boom. That was it. It wasn't even aware of it.
No, because he was like touching numbers and stuff like that. And I was thinking, okay. And it looked like, he was just touching the keyboard, not with his thumbs, but with his index finger.
Yeah.
And maybe he was putting in the coordinates to where he needed to go next. I don't know.
Yeah. Huh.
He could have been a time traveler.
Yeah. That was my my next guess is time traveling. Wow. And that was the most recent. You said that was what, a couple weeks ago?
No, months ago.
Oh,
beginning
months ago.
of summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That he was in springtime, and the other person dematerialized a few months ago.
Wow. And then have you gone back to that location to kind of like
every day?
Yeah.
And nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Not the times that I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's That's amazing. Yeah, if there's anybody, any of your viewers and listeners that have experienced anything like this, definitely give us a call and share your experience. 407-636-1157. So people can find you on YouTube at Gloria Haas, HASS, and your Facebook page is Gloria.Haas, HASS.9.
Yeah, the number 9.
And your website is Linktree, linktr.ee/Gloria Haas Books. And so are you working? Are any of your books on? Have any of your writing or on this subject or?
No, I will be delving into it with a science fiction book that I am currently writing.
Yeah.
And that should be out in January or February of next year. I'm going to touch on parallel lives and dream voyaging.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that begs the question too: is dreaming a vehicle for us to experience our parallel selves or moving into parallel dimensions?
I believe it is, because I know we have all these people with dream interpretations where you have superpowers in your dream and you can run and fly like they did in the Matrix movie, and stuff you have going on like that, or people running after you. It's because of all this other stuff. But I think we're dream voyaging because I don't know if you've had this experience, but I remember having a similar dream and people are like, welcome back. Well, we're glad that you're finally here. Are you going to stay this time? Or what's been going on in your life? And we play catch up. And I know their names. And I would ask about people. And they say, oh, no, they moved away. Or, they're separated or they divorced. And he went and moved over to Europe. And we don't know what happened to her. Stuff like that. So I truly believe we're dream voyaging.
Yeah.
Because how else would dreams pick up where they leave off? Not all dreams, I believe, are voyaging, but I remember having some dreams in stages. But then it's like, well, if you have this dream, it means you're going to be filthy rich. Well, I'm far from filthy rich. And I've had that dream in stages to where I walked up to this housing development. And I remember I could never get past the gate. And then finally one day the gate was open. I walked through it. And when I came back, there are people there going, you're here. Great. Hop in the car and we'll go.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? We've been waiting for you.
Huh.
And we get in the car and we go. And then they bring me back. And then next thing I know, I'm going to cough for a minute. I'm going to mute.
No worries.
Okay, then we come back and there's water. And then I step on this hovercraft and I'm flying over up to this mountain.
Oh.
The interesting part is I've seen a picture of that mountain on the internet.
Oh.
After I had my dream.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Huh.
Yeah.
And for the fact too, like there's dreams out there, like prophetic dreams. There was one some time ago that I had. It was settled. It was definitely like somewhere in Scotland or something like Scotland or Ireland. And well, how do I know? Because it felt like it. And because I have this just I don't know, this connection to, the British Isles and stuff. And in the dream, there was like this fire. It was like I stumbled upon this fire, this place. It was like burning, this old, stone building and stuff. And it ended up being like some aircraft had I guess missed the runway or something like that and landed, and it was like a plane crash or helicopter crash or whatnot. And I was like walking around it with some other people, and I don't remember any conversation in it. I just remembered being in that place, and very, very vivid dream. And when I woke up, took moments for me to, kind of get my bearings straight. And then probably within an hour or so, I turn on the news or I think it was the radio or something. And the radio broadcast mentioned a helicopter had gone down and flew into a pub in like Scotland. And I'm like, no way. And like, when did that happen? I'm like, that just threw me to it's there's nothing you could say about that. It's like, what? And never really saw any pictures. It was just I heard it, and then I remembered the pictures within my dream. They just came together. I was like, there's no way. And yeah, it just it seems like all these types of events and all these types of things within our consciousness, within the human condition, whether it's dreaming, the phenomenon of doppelgangers, deja vu, prophetic dreams, astral travel, these seem to all be, if you think as specific vehicles within the human condition of our experiences of our multi-dimensional and parallel lives. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. I truly do. I've heard of other people. There's this one psychic I believe he lives in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And he was helping the police with different cases, but he would know minutes before someone was going to be killed or knew how it was going to happen just before. And he's helped save some people's lives.
Wow.
Because of that. Yeah.
Huh. Wow. I mean, I find out who that is. You said he's in Florida?
Yes, I believe he's in Florida. Yeah.
Huh. Wow. So what are your new projects? Any new projects coming up?
Just a science fiction novel. And after that, I'll write another crime fiction based on a cold case I helped the family with.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I had the visions and dreams, and then I found the family.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to have to change the race of the person because it's an active felony.
Yeah.
And the family has a very long reach.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm toying with, do I write that one or don't I write that one? But I don't think they would know. And I haven't. The family just said, keep our identity out of this. Do not publicize this in the way that you know it.
Yeah.
So, and also right now to offset, because what I'm writing about is extremely intense with the science fiction. I've just been playing with not the paint program, but software program on and going into graphics and changing them into different pictures and stuff like that, and making book covers to sell on Etsy.
Oh,
it
wow.
gives me I needed to find something with that balance, because between the forensic work and the science fiction stuff, that's going on, and it's very deep. I needed something light and fun, and just to offset and balance out. But other than that, right now I've had a couple of weeks off, and I'll probably take another week off because I have to start eye drops. And I don't know how my eyes are going to react to the drops. And so I will be opening up for visionary readings again in mid-September.
All right.
A couple of weeks.
Yeah. And for the audience who didn't catch the last time you were on, we were talking about your work in forensics and helping find either living or deceased loved ones, correct?
Yes, I have. Well, actually, the one was alive when he went missing, and when they found him, it was 72 hours later, and he had frozen to death after he had been ejected from his vehicle, which went down the hill. And it was in Idaho, and I wasn't familiar with the vegetation, and to me it looked like a tree, but it was a large bush. And I said, he's laying on top of it, and that's how they found him. And his girlfriend saw his SUV go down a hill, but because that whole area looked familiar, that could have been like 20, 30 different places. It was just hard to pinpoint down. She even knew the area, and she had a hard time finding him.
Oh, wow. Oof.
Yeah, but I was with him when supernaturally when he died, and he told me to give her a message.
Yeah.
Which I did.
That's cool. Wow. Now, as far as the our topic of doppelgangers, what are your thoughts of what would possibly happen? Because I always keep hearing this story. Nobody's ever actually, honed in on it and go, yeah, that's happened to me. But this thought that if anybody either met face to face with their doppelganger, that something would happen. Like either you'd cease to exist within this plane, you'd shift, there'd be some sort of weird paradigm shift or something. It was always like not good news. It was handed that way. But what are your thoughts on that?
I've heard the same thing. People said you don't want to meet your doppelganger because you will die. They eat you. That's when it was a mythical creature. They will eat you up and take over your soul. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I don't think we would die, but I think it might shift some paradigms. And then again, would you, die of shock, or would you just think, well, the person looks like me? And then you go and ask your family, well, was I a twin at birth?
Yeah.
I don't know. It leaves so much for speculation that maybe that's why some people haven't been able to speak with their other half.
Huh. It's almost like Bigfoot. Like nobody's actually ever been able to, sit down and have a coffee with Bigfoot,
Actually, there have been some people, and they have said the eyes glowed. I've done some research on it, and they believe that Bigfoot is actually an alien.
Yeah.
An alien being.
Huh. I was told by a friend of mine once, it was a Babalao, a Santerian priest, that the Yeti or the Bigfoot is the spirit of Ogun. And that's one reason he's not exactly can be found, because he's spirit and he's multidimensional. He shifts in between. I mean, we can perceive him every now and then, especially if he wants to be seen. But he's one of the kind of like an elemental, but a little bit on a different plane of some sort, but it can shift in between dimensions.
Is that why he can be seen in so many different places around the same time?
Yeah. But as far as us trying to, track them down and stuff, I mean, you see, footprints and stuff, but nobody's actually been able to, track the scent or whatnot. I mean, there's been people kind of, oh wow, seeing the scent, smelling him when he's close, but then using that to track it down, no luck, nothing. It just disappears. Kind of like the guy in the road that just kind of dematerialized. Kind of like that. It's like, he runs behind a tree, and next thing you know, where the heck did he go?
That brings up a question that when we are in a parallel life, do we dematerialize? Are we an elemental in a parallel life?
Yeah. That also makes me think of a thought I've always had is it kind of like the same way that that we experience spirit in this realm? I mean, when we die, our souls or our spirit moves over to another plane of existence. However, how does spirit perceive us? Do they perceive us the same way? That we're kind of like in and out, or that we're shifting, we're phasing, so to speak, in and out of reality, of what they would perceive reality.
They can perceive us as a whole person. The reason why I know this is because in the last cold case I was working on, I was in the kitchen cooking. I was cooking ground beef, and I usually just mash it all up. And all of a sudden, the spirit of the deceased came over me, and she was like, "This is how I do it." And her spirit was like over my physical body.
Wow.
So no, they perceive us as physical beings.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. It was really interesting because the next thing I know, it was like she could control the way I moved my head. And then when I looked to the left, it was like in her house where she saw her kids outside playing. In the yard. Yeah, it was wild.
Wow. That is cool.
And the family has backed up everything that I've said is actually what, they said, I don't know if she used ground beef, but I said, no, she cooked with a lot of vegetables and they go, yeah, that she did. She had a very unusual diet, all very healthy.
Yeah. Huh. That is cool. Huh. Right on. Man, that was an hour. That was an hour. Yeah, right? But well, I was expecting some callers, but at least we tested the call thing before the show, so it was available when needed. So, but so people can find you at your website, Linktree, linktr.ee/Gloria Haas Books. And your Facebook is gloria.haas, HASS.9. And you have a YouTube channel, and they can just find you on YouTube at Gloria Haas, GLORIA HASS.
And if any of you are going to send me a friend request, please send me a message and say that you heard me on, the Conscious Radio Network, because I won't accept a friend request from someone I don't know without a message. One of the listeners did that and said, I heard you on the Conscious Radio Network, and I accepted her friend request. So if somebody out of the clear blue sends me one and I look at their profile without a message, I'm like, there's so many scammers out there.
Oh yeah. So I had one the other day, and it was like, as soon as I don't know how I I think they sent me they sent me a request, and then I was like, oh, okay. And I noticed they were friends of my friends, or some friends, a few anyway.
Mhm.
As soon as I accepted, they started going off about Publishers Clearinghouse, blah 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 blah, and this and that, and I'm going, no. And then I blocked it, and I reported it. I'm like, no, bye bye.
Yes, I understand. It's so many, there are quite a few people out there who don't pay attention to, and they just accept a request, because they're mutual friends and they don't even know them.
Exactly.
And we have a lot of widowed engineers with children.
Yeah.
Those are scammers. And what's really sad is years ago, there was a young man on Facebook who friended, who was actually, we weren't friends on Facebook. He was just messaging me and he was in the service. And I thought, okay. But he started sending me videos. I mean, videos he shouldn't have been sending me of tanks.
Yeah.
And because I was married to a man who worked for a contractor who worked on the tanks. And I knew I wasn't supposed to be out there, but I knew how it worked and everything and all of that. And I thought he was scamming me because he had a child and his family was taking care of the child. That sets up like a scammer, only he wasn't. He was telling the truth.
Huh.
But it got to the point where I just went ahead and blocked him.
Wow.
Because it got to be too intense. He wanted a relationship and I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to be his mom.
Yeah. That's good. That's good when you look younger in pictures than you are, right?
Right, like the ones you have, yes.
I never tell people I'm actually 50, right?
I'm actually 89. No.
I'm already getting AARP mail.
Uh-oh.
Right? That's scary. Oh, man. Well, Gloria, it's been a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us again. And yeah, you are going to be with us again. I think, was it next month? Was it in
Yes.
sometime in October.
Sometime in October.
Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you again, Gloria, for being on in different conditions, obviously, and hopefully the next time we can get you on the video and everybody can see your happy face.
Hopefully no more technological issues.
Yeah. We continuously have them.
Sunspots and solar flares.
Solar flares and solar ejections and man. But no, I guess it happens. So we got to deal with it.
Yep.
So, but well, Gloria, you have yourself a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And to the audience out there, thank you for listening to Conscious Radio Network or watching Conscious Radio Network. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe to Conscious Radio Network. Just click subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell your friends, family, peeps, peers, everybody out there about the network. We're only going to be getting better. And other than that, thank you again, Gloria. And thank you again, everybody, for chiming in. And until next week, stay tuned. Y'all have a good night now.